Welcome back to the final destination. You will not be making it out of here alive, because this is your final destination. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at Final Destination 2. We took a look at Final Destination 1 yesterday, we're going to be taking a look at Final Destination 3 tomorrow, and then 4 the day after, 5 the day after that, and 6 the day after that. And, it's spooky month, it's October, it's Halloween. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of spooky movies. We took a look at all the Saws, all the Screams, and now we're going to be taking a look at all the Final Destinations and hopefully ending Halloween off with a pretty big bang with Final Destination Bloodlines. But without any further delay, I think we should get into Final Destination 2 and see what that brings to the table and see how that expands on Final Destination 1. Again, I do recommend that you go check out that first video before you watch this one. I also recommend that you check out the movies before you watch this review. So, Final Destination 2 came out in 2003, the year I was born. Big up 2003. It is a horror action movie, which is 1 hour and 30 minutes. It is actually 8 minutes shorter than the first one. Has a 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon, a 51% Rotten Tomatoes, so it is slightly rated better than the original by 3 points, and has a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. You can watch this on Netflix, Google Play, Apple TV, and Sky Store. Kimberly has a vision of a freak accident that takes place on the highway she's traveling through. She manages to save herself and a few others, but death hunts them down for escaping their fate. So, how this movie actually goes is with a bunch of high schoolers driving down the highway, and then a log truck. Funnily enough, another thing that everyone has become scared of, thanks to Final Destination, breaks off and causes absolute devastation across the highway. Cars crashing, cars exploding, fire breaking out everywhere, school trucks tipping over, people getting impaled, people getting stabbed, people getting blown up. Kimberly manages to save them by having this vision, stopping them, from getting involved, stopping the car, getting them pulled over, so then the log truck can cause its chaos and continue on its thing. They then have, everyone come together, go off on their own separate ways, being like, oh my god, thank you, Kimberly, for saving us. Oh my god, how did you know? They all go about their daily lives, but then people start dropping, people start getting killed off, and people are like, damn, why is that happening? It's everybody that's in this freak accident. Kimberly's like, damn, yeah, I know. Fucking everybody's dying in the same order I saw in my brain. I gotta stop this. They all band together. Kimberly goes to get help from someone from the original, the girl from the original movie, the girlfriend who has been kept in a insane asylum. Don't know why you'd want to, stay in an insane asylum. I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't feel too great, and that's not really living. She has been staying in there for a very long time, and you may be keeping yourself alive by staying in there, but you're not really doing much with your life. It's not really living. So they end up going to this hospital to try and kill themselves and get them brought back to life, because that's how they think they beat death. And everyone ends up getting killed on the way to the hospital, because death is proper punishing them now, making sure that they don't survive, making sure that they don't get there, so then they don't get their happy ending. Everyone's picked off one by one, getting impaled, getting stabbed, getting blown up, getting killed, getting crushed, as you normally would in these movies, as you do. Very brutal, very, gruesome deaths. And they get to the hospital. Kimberly then drowns and then comes back to life, and they think she's beat it. Unfortunately not, as I do believe the hospital explodes, and that's how this movie does end. And I'm gonna be honest, it is a pretty brutal one, but again, it does expand on the first one quite a bit with the rules and explaining how killing yourself actually saves you, but it really doesn't. You still die anyway, even if you do kill yourself. You are just preventing or delaying the inevitable. They always say that killing yourself and bringing yourself back to life is the answer and is the key, and is what the characters always spend most of the movie running around trying to do, whilst getting picked off one by one by one. And it's never true. I don't know why the characters believe this, because none of the characters ever survive. It's very strange why they keep going around and trying to survive this way, because it just never works. And that's a topic I'll bring up in future movie reviews, because it isn't really one that's connected to this one, but it is the one that kickstarts that idea off. Very similar to the first movie, it continues the premise, continues the like story beats of character, stops like a death, and then everyone gets picked off one by one by one. But they do up the ante with this one, upping the production scale, upping the gruesome, upping the gore, upping the deaths, putting them in a pretty like gruesome, grim situation, showing them dying in really terrible ways, like getting impaled. And again, you sort of get this sense of safety and hope when these characters have this realization of, oh, there is a way to get out of this, there is a way to save ourselves. And in doing that, you feel like they're going to get out of it, or at least a couple of them are. No, Death then ups his ante and takes them all out actually in quick succession. Like, we have three of them all going like within 5 minutes, which is quite a lot of death in a movie to take place in 5 minutes. I'm going to be honest, when the cast of characters isn't actually that big, taking three of them out within like 5 minutes of the movie is genuinely solid work, to be fair. That is a great use of time. That is being very punctual. Death is a very punctual person. Like, he has his rules. He does have his rules where he's like taking them out one by one in the order they died. Very, very punctual. Very strategic. Again, reminds me of Timothy from Date Everything. Everything happens to schedule. Everything happens to beats. And again, it just continues to solidify the rules of death, really. And that is what I like about this movie. It has its set of rules, it sticks to them, and it just throws our characters in a different set of situations every time. And yes, that might get boring, might get repetitive, but they're pushing the boat out a little bit further every time, upping the ante, upping the death. And again, it is done in such a way. This is only the second movie, so it doesn't feel as repetitive as the others, but you can build that tension very slowly by giving us, the viewers, some information that the characters don't have, so we can sort of build that fear, get onto the edge of our seats, because we are anticipating some danger, some horrible thing that is coming for the characters that they don't particularly know about. And again, this movie has caused so many people to not drive behind log trucks anymore because just how scary they are. Like, log trucks aren't that safe. And because of this one and how big this one was with the log truck idea, they did promote the latest one, Bloodlines, on the back of log trucks, which I think was very clever, very mischievous of them, and also very dark of them, actually, to do that, because it is a Final Destination type shit to happen, and it all sprouted from this second one, and that's just how iconic this second one is. The characters, I do feel like, are quite similar to the first one. We do have our bully-esque character, we have our goofy character who like doesn't really take stuff seriously, it's a comedic relief. We have our main character, we have the love interest, and then we have like the sassy, like, the gossip girl. And every Final Destination has like a variation of these characters, and with this one it just feels very similar to the first with the characters, and it doesn't really build for that good of character development or like character tension, because we always have the bully or the dickhead who is aggressive and rude to the main character, and then we have their relationship, that love interest who's connected to them. It just feels very basic and also very like, like, it doesn't feel organic, it feels like forced most of the time, just because like their personalities are so different. Like, so you sort of have them in this forced situation, and again, like, you have handpicked these awful personalities which don't mesh together well at all, that it just feels forced, it doesn't feel natural, and it doesn't feel like, in the first one it felt a little bit more natural because they're all like high school students. This one feels a lot more forced because it's trying to replicate the first one and the character dynamics that the first one had, to try and recreate some of those character interactions, but I don't feel like it really works as well as it did in the first one. And they are trying to change stuff up like like from the first one, and we do see that with them introducing the character from the first one into this one. And again, normally when you are bringing characters back from previous movies, with it being Final Destination, with the majority of the characters dying, you can't really do that. So when you do bring back like a golden character, if you do bring back like some of the Scream rules here, you tend to do it a lot later on into the franchise, and you don't particularly do it in the second movie because there's not that much hype around the character. There's not that much like missing of the character because they haven't been in it for as long, and it just feels strange to have her back so soon, and for her to willingly leave the safety of her confines to help this girl out. It does feel really strange because she's in this room, she's not living her life, and death has put her in this situation where she is literally sat in a padded cell with no entertainment, no windows, no nothing, and that's just not living life. That's just not enjoying yourself. That's just existing. And it is really sad to see that she has sort of resorted to this just to stay alive and out of the fear of death. But I kind of get it as well, because obviously no one wants to die, and she won't see it as like just existing. She'll see it as she's living. But personally, I don't follow the same sort of thought process as that. Maybe I would if I was in a similar situation, but right now, I currently don't. Honestly, I think this movie is pretty much on par with the first one. I don't think it's any better. I don't think it's any worse. I think it does some things better, but then I do think it still has some drawbacks, like compared to the first one. So I do feel like it's on the same like ground as it. So I'm also going to give this one a solid 8 out of 10, like the first one. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye.